Last hour of the show on a Wednesday. Welcome to Good Morning Football. We are live in New York City, May 15th. My name's Kay. We've got Kyle, Brent, Peter Schrager. What's up, Nate Burleson?
What's up, Kay Adams?
Last hour of the show.
Last hour of the show. Can I give a quick shout out?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I wasn't on the show yesterday because my son, Nehemiah, fractured his ankle in a basketball game on Saturday. So I spent the last few days trying to comfort him. And then yesterday he had the surgery. So shout out to all the doctors and nurses at HSS and Nehemiah. One of the toughest kids I know. I mean, literally a strong fracture, stone face, and handled like a champ. He's sitting at home. I'm assuming he's watching the show. Make sure you take your meds and don't give your mom a hard time while you're away from school. I love you, buddy.
We're sending all our love to the Burleson household this morning. It's time for the Lead Block.
Lead Block!
Josh Rosen and the Miami Dolphins, they were in action at OTAs just yesterday, and Rosen posted this very photo on IG saying, great to get back on the field and just play football. Hashtag fins up. Rosen, though, gentlemen, wasn't only focused on the Dolphins yesterday. He was a guest on the Rich Eisen show, who gets amazing guests, by the way. Rich Eisen's incredible. And he said that Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury dialed him up, gave him a call right before the team did draft Kyler Murray #1 overall. Well, take a listen to the rest.
He's like, hey, so we're about to draft Kyler. I don't really know what happens now. Yeah, and I responded. I was like, yeah, I don't really know what happens either. I mean, regardless, at least he gave me the courtesy of giving me a call. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that, like, truly did kind of frustrate me through this whole process, that I still haven't heard from my old GM. Like, I didn't talk to him for months before, still haven't talked to him months after. But that was kind of frustrating. But for the most part, I'm just ready to put that whole chapter behind me and keep pushing on and playing football.
Rosen says he still has not heard from the Cardinals GM, Steve Keim, since being traded. And Nate, you said you didn't always hear from everybody on the team when you made certain moves. But with this specific move, 2 top 10 overall picks that we have been picking apart and that have been in the headlines, how's Rosen going to react? Keim sitting at tables in front of microphones saying, I love this guy. He's our guy. Is it sort of weird that he didn't call him?
No, not at all. I can appreciate Rosen's transparency, but he has to understand that this is a business, and it's an ugly one at that. And I think oftentimes when a team brings you in and they put their arm around you, they hand you a jersey and they cut you a check, and then the fans scream your name and you throw a touchdown, you look in the stands and you see your jersey on a little kid and you think, this world that I know, this team, this organization, this city, this little bubble, this little utopia, this is perfect, and this is exactly how I want it to be forever. But good things don't last forever. And when you leave, oftentimes, it's not on your own terms, especially early in your career. If you're moved the first couple years of your career, most likely it isn't your own doing. So you want everybody to make you feel okay. And I understand exactly where he's going. I've been cut twice. And there was one team where I sat in the office of the GM and we talked about life, the guys that were there to replace me, and it was completely organic. And then there were other times where I didn't get a call from anybody.
But in this specific situation, it surprises me, Kyle, that Steve Keim did not reach out to him.
It's a business. There's a way to conduct business, and there's difference. And we see it in our business, in our spouse's business, whatever it is. Hey, you weren't drafted number 10 overall, and a year later, you went and were disregarded. Now, listen, Josh Rosen said this. If that's your choice, I don't care. Like, can you give me some courtesy a little bit here? How many phone calls, how many texts did Steve Keim make in the months of April and May? Thousands upon thousands? There can't be a simple thing about, I know this isn't easy. I know we promised you everything and we believed in you. The situation has changed. We wish you the best. Now, maybe in Keim's defense, maybe he would say, well, Cliff called on behalf of the organization, which, first of all, is a cop-out, but at least that's maybe his take. Cliff wasn't there when you drafted him. It was those two guys. It was a year ago. We moved up to get you and promise you the world. I think the least you could do, and how much do we hear about franchises, the 32? Sometimes they conduct business in different ways. Some are better, some are not. I think this is a little bit of a black eye, and if I was Steve Keim, call him this morning. I saw what you said, Josh. I feel terrible. I should have called you. Done. Easy. I would do it that way.
Sorry, Shreds. Let me pull a Charles Barkley real quick. Kyle, you said, Nate, you weren't a 10th overall pick. Yeah, that's the reason why I feel like He doesn't deserve a phone call, dude. What, a $17 million man that has everything, money in his pocket. He's on a new team where he has a chance to be a starting quarterback. He deserves a text message and a call. Yeah. I was a third rounder. I deserve a call. The fifth rounder does. The free agent, the guy that
cornerstone of the franchise.
He wasn't the cornerstone. He was barely that.
He was going to be the whole future. You know, it's not a disrespect to you, Nate. You know that.
I know that. I'm just telling you how guys in my position and who are drafted later and free agents think, like, show me the common courtesy. The guy that's struggling to put food on the table.
Executives get treated differently than people in the mailroom. That's the way of the world.
That was just my knee-jerk response to what you said.
Can I flip this a little bit? What was the win for Josh Rosen doing this interview? It certainly wasn't organized by the Miami Dolphins. He's battling for a starting job with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They wouldn't be trotting out Josh Rosen on the Rich Eisen show. And he went out with such grace, so perfectly on the way out in Arizona with that video and making the joke about Kyler saying, hey, I got a place in Scottsdale. You rode off into the... You're winning. You've got everyone in the public opinion is on Josh Rosen's side. Here we are now 3 weeks later. And guys, Ryan Fitzpatrick took every darn snap with the ones yesterday. You are the backup quarterback fighting for a job and your reputation with a Patriots head coach in Brian Flores, which everyone says is we, not me. Now, okay, Rich Eisen asked him. I'm fine with him answering the question. I'm asking, what was the win of doing the interview? This wasn't something with local media saying, hey, I'm going to do a deep dive on my experience. What was going to come? What do you think they were going to ask you? So now Brian Flores wakes up in Miami this morning, and their PR department wakes up this morning, and they were still talking about the Arizona Cardinals from 3 weeks ago and Josh Rosen. Now, Nate, Steve Smith went way, way further than you on this, but there is a kernel to what the ex-player's viewpoint of this is. Enough about feeling bad for this guy. Let's move on and let's go. And I've heard that, and yes, I've heard that from a lot of ex-players saying, all right, like, if anything, you had a charmed situation where you got paid for all that work. A lot of guys don't. So when is it time to just move on? That's the question.
Is the media going to move on from it? Week 6, if he gets the start, they're going to talk about Arizona. This Arizona storyline is not going away. Every radio interview, every place he's going to go, he will be asked about what happened in the desert for his entire career, maybe. So let's not pretend that he's ever going to wake up and do an interview that's not going to happen. I can't speak to why he specifically did this interview, but I don't think less of him or that he loses my respect for how he's handled the situation in doing the interview and answering the question that he did. It's not like he went on Twitter or Instagram and went on a rant about what happened back in the desert. Maybe he sort of feels like he needed some time to get over it and he was ready to sort of get it going. And I think he was going to have to face this no matter who's asking him the questions.
Yeah, but if you shut it down and you tell whoever you're talking to that I don't want to talk about my former team, then it immediately just calms the flames, because what we're going to do is fan it. That's what we do as media. It's just like when Antonio Brown was with the Oakland Raiders, he kept talking about the Steelers. We were like, bro, you're with a new woman. Stop talking about your ex.
I don't know what the win was. You're right.
This is such a unique situation. Like, so we all love the video of him saying, Kyler, you guys are all great. So looking back, either that video was disingenuous, which, okay, or his feelings have changed. And Peter, I do think you're onto something. However, my counter to that would be, like, we tell the athletes, use your voice. You know, he gets a request maybe from Rich Eisen, you want to come on the show? Yeah, I do. My feelings have changed about it. I've had some time to reflect on it. I think I was badly disrespected, and I want to say something about it. Maybe you can nitpick about the timing, but I don't have a problem with him saying it.
So in the same interview with Eisen, Rosen said he was excited to learn from the veteran quarterback who's taking all the snaps with the ones down in Miami. Take a listen.
In terms of guys to compete with I guess my kind of personality profile, I don't think there's a better guy I could get along with than Ryan Fitzpatrick. We've had some great conversations so far. I think our quarterback room's been a lot of fun. He's really goofy, but he really loves to work, and I think he's going to make me better. I'm going to make him better, and I think complacency is kind of a killer in this league, and I think quarterback competition in general is sort of the exact opposite or it kind of kills complacency.
Seems like he's excited to go and looking forward, but to your point, I don't know what the win was in even agreeing.
Look, that was the first time anyone said that, Kay. It's not like it's you're fair to say he's allowed to speak his mind, and
no doubt.
I think the problem is we start the interview time when 90% of that interview with Eisen was him glowing about his time with the Dolphins and the greatness of Ryan Fitzpatrick and how excited he is to start this new chapter. The problem is we as media are going to pull the headline about him.
No doubt.
I'm not talking. So to Nate's point, what he could have said was, and I'm not a media trainer and I'm not as he could have said, guys, I understand you want to hear that, Rich. I understand, but look, I'm just so excited to be a Dolphin right now. And whether that's genuine or not,
right?
Because I know we're speaking out of both sides of our mouth. We want these guys to be honest and
transparent, right?
The story won't go away if we keep on talking about it.
And we don't want him to apologize for anything he's saying, and we're not going to apologize for trying to peel back the onion at this point in off season because there's not much football for us to report on. Even in that sound right there, the one thing that stood out to me was, as far as guys that fit with my personality profile, he's the perfect fit. So for me, I'm thinking to myself, what does that say about his personality profile? I mean, is it easy to get along with? Is it difficult? Are things that were said about him true? That he's a bit of a know-it-all, and sometimes it rubs teammates and coaches wrong? I don't know. I don't know Rosen.
He's trying to spin it forward, and we're going to keep, as a media, dragging him back. That's the way this interview played out to me.
Because his Instagram post is so great to be out here playing football. And then he's backtracking a million ways, saying, I don't like the GM and I like the kitchen staff. We really do have to get to the football with this guy. I feel like it's been 2 years.
I think he's trying to do that, and he's going to compete with Ryan Fitzpatrick, which we, of course, are all here for.
Love it.
Peter, you've been very bold this week. A lot of things going on with you. And certainly this morning, who has the biggest arm in the National Football League?
Is it this guy?
Well, you made a top 5 list.
I lost Drake.
There's a couple quarterbacks that need to be on it that aren't, so we're going to break that down.